Ah, shit! Oh god, I dropped my glass. Alright, we're back. I'm back, and we are continuing off the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Last where we left off, I have no idea, because it's been a while, but we're gonna finish our case in defending the thief girl. Also, I've just changed some, configuration. So, actually, let's see, from my side, it actually looks better, actually. So hopefully this fixes. Let me look at the screen, both screens. Oh yeah, it did. Okay, looks better. All right. Once a rogue, always a rogue, I say. Different breed to us law-abiding citizens.
As only 2 bullets were found at the scene, I would say the whole case is done and dusted. You don't need a stereoscope to see the truth here. Every which way you look at it, it was that pickpocket.
I never imagined that simple operation would cause me such grief.
The accused attempted a theft on the previous day. I can see I'm in for a busy day ahead.
I am ballistic expert. I have seen many shootings. There is nothing I do not know about guns. It would seem there is little remaining room for doubt. I have to admit, I was rather bowled over by the argument put forward by the chap in black. When that fell apart like a house of cards, I saw that I'd jolly well been hoodwinked. Well, no more. The whole courtroom is turning against me.
It's not fair.
Iris?
That prosecutor's being mean. Okay. Just because Ginny done some things she shouldn't have done in the past, that doesn't make her a murderer.
Oh, boo fucking who.
Allow me to savor the fruity vintage while I savor the spectacle of your fruitless debate on the matter. Here's to the truth coming out. Eventually.
That's enough preamble, counsel. Proceed with the summation examination. I love how the judge at this point, every time he sees us, he's like, I already know what you're gonna do, just go ahead. Yes, my lord. The defense's rebuttal. Alright. Alright, so once a rogue, always a rogue. Alright, I guess we'll just press on each one.
Hold it!
Just because Miss Lestrade has a history of pickpocketing, you must be guilty of murder. Is that what you're saying?
Well...
Are you all members of the British Army so quick to judge?
I beg your pardon? Are you mocking Her Majesty's Armed Forces, the greatest military organization in the world? Prussia. Just kidding.
No, I'm simply illustrating my point. Making assumptions about people because they're a soldier or a pickpocket is wrong and dangerous.
Well, yeah. Might have a point there, I suppose. But let's not forget the girl had already shown she had it in her from before. She's clearly a criminal sort through and through. Can't deny it.
When you say that she'd shown she had it in her, are you referring to this?
Exactly. Tried to swipe that only a day earlier, Or am I mistaken?
Not exactly. Given that I was actually there at the time, it's hard to refute that. I've never actually seen the real thing. I can't wait to have a closer look at it. Oh yeah, of course. Mr. Sholmes did use his caramel bars to make a copy of the disc, didn't he? And then ordered every type of music box he could find from across Europe. We still don't know what tune it plays though, do we? But I'd love to see how the original compares to Hurley's copy. Gilded's disc. Could it be a clue somehow? Perhaps we should examine it in more detail.
Hold it!
It's the number of bullets that has you convinced. Only 2 bullets were fired, and the 2 guns that fired them have been examined by the police. When the parlor maid asks me how many are invited for dinner, I always tell her to count the table settings. Well, that's logical, I suppose. Although... Yes? Sometimes after dining, crockery does go missing. One or two guests rather like the fine china. Does your employer dine with thieves? So I suppose. If there was another bullet somewhere of which we were unaware, I'd have to reconsider my position. A third bullet somewhere on the scene? Would that be possible? Third bullet? Hold on. I mean... As far as where... Well, actually, hold on. Oh, we don't know where the bullet went in... Oh. I mean, there's one confirmed. And supposedly the second bullet, yeah, was in Mr. Windibank's. But I'm trying to think if there was any possibility of a third bullet. So the problem is that I'm playing with fire with this, and I can't really say with confidence if there was a possibility of a third bullet, considering that both guns have only signs of one discharge. But, well... A third bullet somewhere on the scene could be possible. There's the one bullet. Where does blood come from, though? Or is that from Mr. McGilded when he was murdering that poor brickmaker? Single bullet wound in the upper half of the victim's back. A bullet entered the body from the back on a gently rising diagonal trajectory. What is a gentle... Okay. For now, I'm just gonna say it's impossible, because I can't really prove anything. Unfortunately, only 2 bullets were discovered by the police during their investigation. Yes, I know. Right. And I don't imagine the good men of Scotland Yard would have overlooked anything. If I missed a bullet while I was cleaning his lordship's office, well... I should receive a sound scolding, I don't doubt. And he should receive a visit from the police, perhaps. It sounds like a crime scene to me. A third bullet. Would completely turn things around if there was one, wouldn't it? Do you think we might have one lying around somewhere? Wait, do we? Can't say that we do. Stab wound. Conviction was assured with 3 eyewitness testimonies. Okay. Oh, nothing. So... a weird looking fucking gun. I guess we'll push for now. You don't need a serious scope. So if I've understood correctly, you need 2 pictures, a left eye one and a slightly different right eye one. Exactly. Then you can see the scene in 3 dimensions. Like this. So if we have 2 bullets, I don't suppose you can see anything useful with them. I think you'll find that no matter how much you squint, the truth of the situation always looks the same here. The only person who could have shot the victim is that girl in the dock. How can you be so sure of that? Think about it. The Skulkin brothers shot the great detective, didn't they? Yes, that's been mentioned once or twice. Oh, then surely it's coming into focus now, isn't it? This is a waste of time. I'm not going to change this man's mind anytime soon. Never imagined the simple operation would cause me such grief. What is he talking about? Okay. Would you please stop muttering about things that have nothing to do with this trial, sir? The defendant's life is on the line here.
Well, the thing is, I couldn't really say that it has nothing to do with this trial, to be honest.
Huh?
I mean, there's no question that the man was shot, but the bullet had simply vanished from his stomach. It's quite inexplicable, don't you think?
Wait, oh god. I almost don't want to ask, but this surgery you've been muttering about all this time, you were operating on...
What was the fella's name now? Herlick? No. Hairlock? No. Hairlock.
Herlock Sholmes, by any chance?
Oh, yes! Good lord! It was that Hairlock fellow!
What? You're the surgeon that operated on Mr. Sholmes?
That's right. Using the very latest anesthesia techniques, I might add. It was a fairly major op, I can tell you.
I would have never thought this man was a doctor in the last trial. This is crazy.
Let me see. The fellow was brought in not too long after midnight, if I can remember correctly. They said he'd been shot by some criminal or other, so I opened him up like a shot. But the funny thing is, I went over his insides with a fine-tooth comb and couldn't find the bullet anywhere. I'm afraid I had to throw out my hands and just stitch the fellow back up.
I hate to state the obvious, but...
Yes?
Surely that's because the bullet is still at the scene of the shooting. The counsel for the defense is correct. As is clearly shown in this photographic print. The bullet that the Skulkin brothers fired at Mr. Sholmes hit him in the stomach region, then exited his body and lodged into the shop wall where the calendar was hanging by the door. I think you'll find it's really quite simple if you just consider the problem 3-dimensionally.
Huh? Who do you think I am, son?
Well, juror number 4 is about the best I can do.
As soon as I saw the wound to the man's stomach, I flipped him over.
Like a pancake? Are you saying that you checked his back?
Of course I did. And there wasn't a trace of injury. No sign that the bullet...
No sign that the bullet had left the body at all? What? What?
That's the point! The only logical conclusion was that the bullet was still somewhere in the man's innards. Which is exactly why I set up slicing him up. And I'm still none the wiser even now. How many times do I have to say it? Can somebody please explain how it happened? Can somebody please solve the mystery?
It's almost as much of a mystery as how this jury was put together. Wait, hold up. Okay, so that's our first pitch.
Objection!
Those two statements clearly contradict each other. Sir, O'Bean can accept that. What? What? All fighting for a common cause, don't you know, my chaps? No way they contradict one another. Oh. Oh, well, I just fucked up. Okay. Yeah, and then press on. I guess I'll just keep pressing.
Hold it!
What do you mean you're in for a busy day? Forgot to say. Stop. Do excuse me. Stop. I am a communications officer. Stop. A communications officer? Does that have something to do with the sending telegrams? Everything from personal messages written by members of the public in the latest news in the capital. I convert all the messages into Morse code and tap it out to the entire world electronically. The entire world? Thousands of miles of cable under the sea. Stop. Worldwide communication network. Stop. Information transmitted to and from all corners of the globe. Stop. Ah, yes. She was getting equally worked up about radio waves or the like before, wasn't she? I specialize in communicating information from government departments and newspaper offices. I see. I'm sure I shall have to wire the newspaper reports of today's guilty verdict later. So no sleep for me tonight, I imagine. Let's just finish the trial first, shall we? I am ballistics expert. I've seen many shootings. There's nothing I do know about guns.
Hold it!
Okay. I thought you were just a tourist. Good day. I am visiting London for sightseeing. I would like to take bus to Crystal Tower, please. There's no way he's just a visiting tourist. So, you're a ballistics expert. Who knew? I have much experience with guns. Ah. I have lived through many, how do you say? Extreme, violent, bath of, no, blood of,
Ah, extreme violent bloodbaths, perhaps.
Those. Extreme violent bloodbaths. English is very difficult tongue.
Considering the sort of people who you associate with, I'm surprised you still have a tongue.
Anyway, if you have questions about bullets and guns, you ask me. There's nothing I do not know. No mystery I cannot solve.
Very confident in his knowledge of guns, that's for sure.
But, if possible, please, only in Russian tongue.
He's not very confident in his knowledge of English, though, is he? No, still, we should bear it in mind. He's our man if there's a mystery about guns or both. Okay, so then I guess we... Okay. I guess I pitched those two. Van Zeeks has managed to convince everyone. When you have eliminated the impossible, he said, but he hasn't. We're going to fight back. We need more material. We have to fight back. We have to turn this trial around again. Okay, so before I continue and fuck up, I'm going to save. Go. Alright, I guess I'm gonna pitch the doctor in that.
Objection!
Here we go. Those two statements clearly contradict the idea that all I do is pit jurors against each other.
Oh, a ballistics expert.
Pitting. E-I-T-T.
On the night in question, Mr. Sholmes was shot by one of the Skulkin brothers, but since there was no sign of an exit wound on his back, we must assume the bullet didn't pass through him. However, no bullet was found lodged in Mr. Sholmes' body either. Furthermore, a bullet was found lodged in the wall of the shop where Mr. Sholmes was shot. Juror number 6.
Hello, my name is Villain. Pleased to meet you.
This apparent contradiction in the facts that is so clearly troubling juror number 4. Are you able to explain the mystery?
I have seen very similar situation in Motherland. It was night. There was blizzard. I was running away along mountain road in freezing cold. Golly. The snow was piling high on both sides of the road. It was very narrow and dangerous. My pursuers had hunting rifles and they were on dog sleds.
Mental note, don't ask too many questions.
I was shot from behind and I fell down in snow. And this situation was very similar to what I heard today from Doctor. They could not find bullet in my body. And no sign of, how do you say, exit wound. Then where did the bullet go? Bullets never hit me.
Well, if it never hit you, why did you fall down?
Bullet hit frozen wall of ice very close to my side.
What?
One small piece. Very sharp. Walk away from lump of ice and pierce my body. It made deep wound that looks just like bullet wound.
Good gracious.
Of course, piece of ice quickly melted inside of me. And that is solution to mystery of disappearing bullet.
But that doesn't answer the question at all. The shooting happened in a pawnbroker shop. Not some snowy mountain road in another country.
Just an idea, but we might not be looking at exactly the same scenario here. Bruno, where exactly was Hurley shot again? Well, according to the report, in his stomach, sort of around this area, I think. Well, that's precisely where he always wears a little pouch on his belt. A pouch? Actually, I might have noticed something like that. Yes, a pouch. It's where he keeps 3 glass vials of very dangerous chemicals that he uses in his investigations. What? Really? Doctor, where's the pouch Mr. Sholmes was wearing?
Well, the fellow had nothing like that on his person when he arrived at the hospital, as far as I'm aware.
If I may. Lord Van Zieks? While I realize it is forbidden for the prosecution to interject during a summation examination, I should inform the defense that I have the pouch in question in the antechamber outside the courtroom. Sorry? As I understand it, when the police arrived on the scene and found Mr. Sholmes injured, they removed the pouch in order to assess the wound.
Oh, thank goodness. I thought I was getting forgetful for a moment.
Since then, it has been in my safekeeping along with all the other evidence relating to the case. I can personally vouch for the fact that it has not been touched since the incident occurred. Very well. While extremely unconventional during a summation examination, I must demand the prosecution present the item in question with all speed. Bring forth Mr. Herlock Sholmes' pouch. I see. So this is the pouch worn by Mr. Sholmes on the night in question, is it? Look at that. One of the files is broken, the leather around it is scorched black. It's almost as if the file exploded. Exploded? So, that night, the bullet from the Skulkin brothers' gun struck Mr. Sholmes' pouch.
And it was the glass file exploding that caused the fellow's injury.
This bullet did not penetrate victim, but was deflected into a wall of shop. A delightfully complex aroma. Well, it would appear one mystery has been solved at least. Though it has no bearing on the truth of this case. The burgling brothers shot the detective, and the accused shot the pawnbroker. The pertinent facts of the case remain unaltered.
But at least the mystery's solved. I can sleep easy tonight. Thank you, young man.
Thank you very much. Glad I could help. Due to its bearings on the conundrum just solved, the court will sequester this scruffy pouch as evidence. Hurley's pouch isn't scruffy. Okay. Now, the summation examination. It would appear the defense is somewhat struggling to alter opinion, please, my lord, a little more time. After all, that's a new piece of evidence. Could be a valuable clue, and you can't afford to overlook anything here, Ryunosuke. There's still a way to turn this around. Somehow. I'm sure of it. Alright. So let me check this out. This new evidence. Oh, there it is. It's really scorched badly just here. Oh, the strap is broken. Look! Must be where the bullet hit then. Let me see. There's the bullet. What the? Iris, look! Behind where the broken file was. Do you see it? Ah! That's the Skulkin brothers' bullet. A stroke of luck that it hit this pouch. This is an amazing discovery. This means is there were 3 bullets fired at Windibanks that night. We found exactly what that juror was talking about. Third bullet. It's time to press that juror again, I think. Alright. Nice. Alright, so now we... Yeah, it's a good thing I didn't press on that, so... Or... Alright. Hold it. Get that. I can prove it. Allow me to show you, then, the third bullet.
Take that!
Here it is. We discovered it just now. Yes, on the night in question, Windibank's pawnbrokery, another bullet was fired.
Hold it!
What is this new trickery, you Nipponese conjurer? Where did you find that bullet? It was lodged inside Mr. Sholmes' pouch. Dumbass. What? This pouch was removed from around Mr. Sholmes' waist before he was taken to the hospital. And since then, it has been touched by no one. Do you mean to say the shot fired by the Skulkin brothers that night? Yes. As your lordship has surmised, it hit this pouch. What? That makes no sense whatsoever. We already know where the whereabouts of the bullet fired at Mr. Sholmes. It's clearly visible in this photographic print. Ah. 2 guns from the scene have already been submitted into the court record as evidence. Yes, that of Mr. Windibank's and that belonging to the Skulkin brothers. An examination of both guns revealed that only a single bullet had been fired from each. Oh, so that means there was a third gunner. Oh. What that must mean? That's right. We now know that on the night in question, 3 bullets were fired. However, only 2 bullets were fired from the guns recovered from the crime scene. And until that incontrovertible inconsistency is somehow explained, we cannot and must not pass judgment. My God. Order! 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 While the summation examination remains incomplete, the court has been presented with new facts. Facts that would appear to shake the very foundations upon which the case against the defendant has been built. What? As is my prerogative in this situation, I hereby temporarily suspend the summation examination. Oh shit. By Jupiter. What? Bailiff, bring the witnesses back to the stand at once. Oh shit, he's pissed. He's pissed. Yeah. Oh shit. Witnesses? Governor! Were you listening to proceedings while the defense carried out the summation examination? We was, Governor, we was. Perhaps we can dispense with the tedious preamble. Simply answer this one question. A third bullet has been identified at the scene of the crime. What do you make of that? Make of what, Gov? I don't make nothing of no— Is it one of yours? God blimey, Gov, God blimey. Not a chance. In that case, did you have an accomplice? What? What? Never. The Skulkin brothers work alone. It's just the 2 of us. That's your trademark. How soon we forget poor Sulky. Only 2 of the bullets from the crime scene originate from the firearms we have in evidence. The third bullet was fired from another gun. Where is it? Let me... That's a neat scratcher. Counsel for the defense? Yes? I should like to hear your thoughts regarding these new developments. The third bullet, and the mysterious missing firearm from whence it came from. Looking back over all the testimony we've heard and all the evidence we've seen, I think I'm starting to form a picture of what really happened that night. My lord, I think it's clear what this third bullet tells us about the Skulkin brothers. Let's look back at the history quick. So they claim that they work alone. So I don't think they had another gun, and given that their trademark is that there's only 2 of them, the Skulkin brothers, I don't think it has to do with anything with them. I believe it has nothing to do with them. Eh? Eh? Yes? Eh? That's right. Yeah, nothing to do with us, Gov. We've established that 1 bullet was fired from each of the 2 guns already known to the court. The logical conclusion, therefore, is that on the night in question at Mr. Windibank's pawnbrokery, there was another person present in possession of a 3rd firearm. Whilst the brothers may have had nothing to do with the 3rd gun or the bullet fired from it, it's inconceivable that they had nothing to do with the 3rd man. Yes, the brothers were working with an accomplice who was carrying a gun. An accomplice, you say? Pig's will. These protracted proceedings have already forced us to endure 2 summation examinations. Yet in all that time, there has been not a murmur of a 3rd man. If this apparently wraith-like being exists, the courts must be shown hard evidence. Without it, this fantasy will be crushed. The prosecution demands answers on 2 accounts. Firstly, proof, evidence that this accomplice was ever at the scene of the crime. And secondly, the identity of this spurious character. Skulkins are lying, I know that. But how can I ascertain the identity of the person they're hiding? Well, counsel? I'm supposed to prove the existence of this accomplice and reveal the person's identity, even. In response to the prosecution's demands, my lord, the defense is... Okay, hold on. So, I can prove that there was a 3rd person. So, hold on. So, yeah, so it wasn't Herlock Sholmes. And right now... So it's not Herlock, obviously not Pop, not Gina. So that means the only person that could have been there would have been Edgar Benedict? That's like the only other person that could have been there besides everyone else. He's the only other person that isn't taken account of. He was also there before the incident. The defense is ready. I believe I can provide all the answers the prosecution demands. So, my Nipponese friend, despite the swimming eyes, you seem to think you have something to say. This promises to be interesting. I have to push forward now. There's no other option. I need to use every single piece of evidence available to me if it will make a difference. In that case, counsel, I would ask you to present the evidence without delay. On the night in question, in the moments leading up to the death of the victim, what proof have you that there was a 3rd intruder present at the scene? I mean, it's the Green Bullet. We still don't know who that is.
Take that!
The evidence is right here, in this portfolio. By Jove, that portfolio again, is it? Do you expect the court to rifle through your papers itself? Be more specific. You claim one of those blood samples proves the presence of this 3rd intruder. Well, which one is it? Well, it's that one.
Take that!
What am I looking at here? There appears to be some green paint or such like around the bullet hole in the middle of the calendar.
That's a bloodstain, my lord.
A bloodstain?
Green blood? Curious, even for you. Is the call to understand that the intruder was some unhuman creature? It's something developed by Mr. Herlock Sholmes. By the great detective? New invention. Stop. Not yet appeared in stories. Stop. It's this, you see. It doesn't have a name yet, though. This fogger sprays a chemical that reacts with different elements in people's blood to change its color.
Different elements of people's blood?
Yes, everyone's blood is slightly different, you see, because it's made up of different elements. So by seeing what color it changes to, you can tell in a flash whose blood it is. Oh, that brings such a whole extra dimension to looking at blood. Talk of blood in courtroom. Stop. Very exciting. Stop. As an example, this one shows the blood of the victim, Mr. Windibank.
Ah, a striking blue.
Yes, so you see the green color of this bloodstain on the calendar shows that somebody else was shot in the main part of the shop.
Now hold fire there, young man. Could be from some unrelated incident, couldn't it?
No, it's not unrelated. The date showing on the calendar is the date on which Mr. Windibank was killed.
By golly.
Therefore, we can assume that whoever was shot on the same day.
Then whose blood is it?
Well, the Skulkin brothers in the stand don't appear to be suffering from any gunshot injuries. Which means it must be the blood of somebody else, the third intruder, in fact.
Objection!
Whose identity the court is still awaiting to hear. You can't delay this any longer, my learned friend. Who is this alleged third intruder? I love their fucking portraits. I mean, alright, I'm gonna save just in case, because I might fuck up. I'm going to assume it's the one dude that hasn't been taken into account. And that's the Mr. Benedict guy.
Take that!
The man's name is Eggert Benedict.
Eggert Benedict? Who on earth are you talking about, Counsel?
He paid a visit to Windibank's pawnbrokery on the afternoon before the incident took place. When the accused attempted to deceive the pawnbroker into releasing this article into her possession. That's right. The man identified by the defense, Mr. Eggert Benedict, then attempted to take the article from the defendant by force.
Broca. Yes, sir.
I believe this filthy pocket thief has just redeemed an article from you, no?
Yes.
The article in question belongs to me. I demand for it to be returned at once. Now that's a lie. What are you trying to pull? Give me back my overcoat, you wastrel. Needless to say. Any music box discs? 2. Inspector Gregson was there at the time and can attest to what happened. In the end, it was the inspector himself who took the disc.
Can you corroborate this account, Inspector?
Yes, my lord. That's more or less what happened. And in the interest of being thorough, I asked Windibank for a print showing the fella. Taken from one of his red-handed recorder gubbiness. Gabunces.
Yes, that's him talking to Mr. Windibank that morning.
And you claim this man is the brother's accomplice?
Well, Mr. and Mr. Skulkin? Never seen the geezer before in my life.
On my life, Gov, on my life, never seen him. Well, somewhat unsurprisingly, it appears our witnesses disagree with the assertion.
I'm sure your lordship recalls my Londonese friend's actual assertion, which was that he could prove the identity of the alleged accomplice.
Yes, I can. Then show us the evidence. I agree. We must see proof that the clean-cut gentleman in the photograph is the filthy criminal you say he is. This is the last piece of evidence. I've had a feeling that something has been missing in this trial from the very start. But now, I'm going to drag it kicking and screaming into the courtroom.
Are you ready to present your answer to the court then, counsel?
Yes, my lord. The defense will present evidence now. Proof that the man pictured in this photographic print was in fact the person who struck by the third bullet. Alright, so real quick, again, we're gonna save. This is taxing. Nerve-wracking. Alright, so... whose blood is that? Oh, Runo, look! This is blood. Yeah, you're right. Just a small smear, but definitely blood. Actually, I feel as though I might have noticed that before. Haha, then it's time for me to shine again. I thought I'd be waiting forever. Alright, hold still with that disc, Runo. Can we get this done quickly, Iris? In a flash. Let me guess, it's gonna turn green. I know it! I know it! It was gonna turn fucking green. Ooh, a lovely bright shade again. Wait, that color. What is it? It's just that green. It's not the first time we've seen that color. Yeah, obviously. Alright. If I remember correctly, it was Mr. Proof that the man pictured in this photographic print was in fact the person struck by the third.
Take that!
Oh, okay, I was right. Whew. As I mentioned before, on the afternoon of the day in question, the defendant attempted deceitfully, admittedly, to reclaim this disc from Mr. Windibanks.
Which is when the aforementioned Edgar Benedict appeared on the scene, I believe. This man then attempted to purloin the article from the defendant's possession, no?
That's correct, my lord. I myself was present at the time. It was following this that a minor incident occurred.
But of course, sir. Here's the disc for you.
Very well. Then I shall bid you farewell. Say goodbye to style. Wait a minute. That disc is mine! What do you think you're doing, you little tramp? You've drawn blood, you filthy animal. He cut his finger on it. Being a music box disc, it has countless small but sharp metal protrusions over its surfaces. Those protrusions caused Mr. Benedict's finger to bleed, and the resulting smear of blood is still visible on the disc now.
Oh, goodness, a bloodstain, is it?
My assistant and I have just analyzed the bloodstain here in this very courtroom. Using my trusty fogger gun. Yes, we added the results to this portfolio.
I say.
It's green.
It's exactly the same color as the blood around the calendar.
The evidence is conclusive. The man calling himself Mr. Edgar Benedict, who was in Windibanks earlier in the day, is the accomplice who was present at the scene of the crime that same night.
Oh shit!
So there was someone else there. Look at those two brothers now, they're sweating buckets. Oi, what are you talking about? It's boiling in here. My lord, it is the opinion of the defense that Mr. Edgar Benedict should be summoned to the courtroom to testify.
It would certainly seem that we can ill afford to ignore this gentleman's apparent presence.
Objection!
This has gone on long enough now. This fragrant ignorance of the mechanics of law. Herlock Sholmes, you say? Yes, I've heard the name. The protagonist in a series of short stories for the vulgar classes, a god of detection or some such. And now you employ chemical substances devised by this fantastical persona in the highest court in the land. Do you expect us to take you seriously? The samples made by this plaything are not fit to be called evidence. So the bloodstained turned a shade of green. What of it? Here's to you successfully proving that no other blood in the world would turn the same color. Well... Whoa, okay. And pray, do not even think of suggesting that we should take Mr. Sholmes' word for it. Is he right? Is Mr. Sholmes' concoction? I don't know. I mean, he is a great detective. What are you talking about? We can't let him get away with that. I knew it would come to this. Of course, Mr. Sholmes' invention isn't going to be recognized by any official body. But what other choice did I have? I'm just remembering what Father Christmas over there said before. About how he was temporarily suspending the summation examination. In other words, the examination isn't over yet, is it?
Good grief. What did you just say, young girl?
And in a summation examination, the decision as to whether or not the trial continues is in the hands of the 6 jurors, isn't it? So, the way I see it, it doesn't matter what certain other people think of Hurley's invention. At least, not for now. Yes, she's right.
Young lady, you have quite the devious mind.
It really just comes down to one thing. Whether these ladies and gentlemen of the jury are convinced by what you say, Bruno. Is that about right, would you say? Or did I misunderstand something? Believable. Mr. Sholmes' partner is a force to be reckoned with. Iris Wilson, sharpshooter. Oh god.
After that shrewd paralysis of the situation from an entirely unexpected source, it must be acknowledged that the previous submission examination has yet to reach its conclusion. This is absurd. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court now looks to you for your final leanings in this matter. As proud citizens of Her Majesty's Britain, I am sure you will come to fair and just conclusions. So then, state your final decisions in turn, please.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty!
Not guilty.
Hey.
Yeah. 2 call guilty and 4 call not guilty. Such is the outcome of the summation examination.
Objection!
My lord, with all due respect, this is an outrage. The prosecution refuses to accept this decision.
On what grounds?
If these jurors are persuaded by some half-baked concoction devised by a pretender to real police work, then they are too ignorant to be trusted with the judgment of anyone's guilt.
I'm sorry, Lord Vansix, but the outcome of the summation examination cannot be ignored. This trial will continue. Nevertheless, we find ourselves in a rather awkward situation. The defense has very reasonably requested the subpoena of a new witness. But sadly, I fear that will be impossible.
What?
The name that the gentleman gave for himself, Edgar Benedict, is quite clearly false.
I don't believe it. Just when I managed to prove the man was there that night.
Could I say something? Who was that? Please, please. Who spoke?
It was me, my lord. Juror number 5? Oh, she's number 5.
What have you to say, late madam?
If possible, Inspector.
Me, ma'am?
I wonder if you might show the photographic print to me again, the one in which the gentleman is shown.
Right, yeah, this one you mean? Mr. Benedict?
Yes. There's no doubt in my mind. Juror number 5, you don't mean to say you know this man? Yes, I know him. What? No.
Good gracious!
Oh shit! Juror number 5, I love you.
Order! Order! I said order! Juror number 5. How on earth?
I am a communications officer. Stop.
As we can clearly see.
Alright. As we can clearly see, the gentleman in the photograph is... Stop. Also a communications officer. Stop. He works in my office. Stop.
Oh shit.
A very talented operator, in fact. Stop. He should be in the communication station now. Stop. Tapping away on the telegram. Stop. This doesn't seem right somehow. I can't put my finger on why, but it doesn't feel right. I suppose we all imagined the accomplice would be some sort of hardened criminal. It's a bit unexpected to find out that he has a respectable job by day, whatever he gets up to at night. Yeah, I suppose that's it. I suppose that's why I felt something was wrong.
If the gentleman is at London's communication station, we should be able to subpoena him within the hour. Lord Van Zeeks, if you please.
Yes, my lord.
Make the necessary arrangements with all haste.
As your lordship bids.
The court will recess for 1 hour. When the new witness arrives, we shall reconvene to hear the gentleman's testimony. Inspector Gregson. Yes, my lord? I should like to hear from you specifically about events at the pawnbrokery on the day in question. Come to my chambers during the recess. Yes, sir, my lord. Very well. Court is adjourned until 1:40 p.m.
All right. We did it! Oh my god, I did it! Oh my god, I didn't have to restart. Holy shit. Whew. Man, that was close. Yeah, sure, I'll save. Give me one moment. All right.
Ah, Gina, how are you holding up?
Starting to feel quite warmly towards her frequent cold shoulders now.
Ginny! Are you alright? Why aren't you saying anything?
What's the point, eh? Why go to all this trouble and fight so hard? With the likes of me.
What?
Well, you saw it. That picture.
What picture?
Or what picture?
Ah, you mean this? The photograph taken by Hurley's red-handed recorder? Well, I didn't think it would have captured a scene like this, that's for sure.
It's hopeless. Anyone who sees that's going to think I did it, ain't they? Well, they already saw it.
Well, I won't pretend it wasn't a bit of a shock when the prosecution first presented it to the court.
Surely you've got to have your doubts about me now. You can't still think I'm innocent, except I think you are.
Of course I can. Ginny, why don't you talk to us? Tell us what really happened that night.
Eh?
Bruno's cleverly managed to piece together a lot of new information, but still, we'd really like to hear it from you.
Alright then. Yes, tell us a story.
It was after we had the dinner together at your place, right, Iris? We all had a chat up in your office, didn't we?
Yeah, I remember.
After that, I just couldn't get to sleep. So I slipped out and went down the street to the 2-to-1, Windabank's place. I had to know.
If Iris' story was there or not? The Hound of the Baskervilles?
I don't know what it's about or nothing. But if you ask me, there's something in it that Sholmes don't like. Something what he don't want people reading. That's why he lied to Iris about sticking in lug with window banks for safekeeping. At least that's what I thought at the time. So you broke into window banks? I just had to know if it were there or not. I mean, I had no idea all of that was gonna kick off, did I? I struck the lock and snuck inside. It was dark as you like in there. So I gave the oil lamp on the counter a bit of wick, and that's when...
What do you think? What do you think you're doing? Ah!
I nearly died. I did. Next thing I knew... I grabbed the gun off the counter and was waving it in the air like... I don't know what. So she did grab it.
You're the girl who's in here this afternoon. I didn't think pickpockets went in for armed robbery.
The manuscript. Have you got it here? Sholmes leave old papers with you, a story?
I beg your pardon?
The Hound or the something or other. If it did, I want to see it.
I'm sorry, young lady, but I'd sooner die than relinquish an article belonging to one of my customers.
I don't want it. What would I do with it anyway? I just want to see it's here, that's all.
Oh, you want to see it, do you?
I want to know if Sholmes really pawned it here or not. Please, just let me see it and I'll go.
Oh, very well then. But for pity's sake, stop waving my gun around, would you?
So then the old cove unlocked the storeroom door and we both went inside. And it was there all right. Manuscript. Sholmes were in line after all. You did all that just to check for me, Jenny? That's so sweet. Anyway, and there was a bit of a kick-up out in the main bit of the shop. Skulkin brothers arrived on the scene, yeah. What was that noise? Someone's breaking in.
Dear me, is there some burglars convention here tonight that I don't know about?
I think I forgot to shut the door behind me. Sorry.
I better go take care of it. Would I possibly have my gun back?
Oh, I'll come with you and...
Now don't be foolish, young girl. Must stay right here. Don't leave this room under any circumstances.
And with that, he took the gun out of my hands and walked back out into the shop. I hung back in the storeroom like he said, straining my ears in the dark to hear what was going on. Sounded like they got into a bit of a scrap. I started to think I should help, see? I was just about to go out the storeroom myself when... Oh, 2 shots. I heard a couple of shots go off. 2, I think. Almost at the same time. Then there he was right there. There he was, right at my feet. Lying face down on the floor. It was right next to the storeroom door, so I slammed it shut and locked it quick as you like. Because you thought whoever had shot Mr. Windibank might... Oh, because you thought whoever had shot Mr. Windibank might come for you. Yeah. So I went to grab the old cove's gun. I figured I'd put up a fight at least. When I got a better look at him, I knew. Windibank was a goner. Oh. Okay, so yeah, so she just grabbed the gun for self-defense after seeing all that. I felt funny in my head all of a sudden, kind of dizzy. And after that, I don't remember nothing. Okay, that's fair. Okay, I mean, like, any normal person in that circumstance, especially when seeing a body like that, or a gunfight, would more likely pass out from the stress. That must be when you passed out, Gina. If I had done what I'd done, the old cove might still be alive. Did you tell the police everything you just told us? Of course I did, but they didn't believe a word of it, did they? All they said was if I kept telling lies, it'd make things even worse for me. It'll be alright, Ginny. Don't worry. Just stay strong a little longer. Bruno is about to put the real culprit through the mill. cold what was there in the afternoon. That Egget Benedict. I still remember how he looked at me like I was nothing. He was there that night. Oh, you saw him. We don't know his real name yet, but I'm convinced that he's involved somehow. Anyway, thank you for telling us what happened, Gina. I appreciate your honesty. Your what? You can leave it all to Runo's capable hands now, Ginny. Mr. Naruto? Yeah? How come you trust me? I don't get it. I mean, have you forgotten what happened here before? Come on, it was only 2 months ago. Me and McGilded told you a whole pack of lies. And you got the Bog Trotter off with him, even though he was the killer. Yeah, but you were forced in that situation. No, I can never forget that. Oh. I did what I thought was best at the time. But the pain of that error of judgment doesn't get any easier to bear. Still, don't forget that I also made you a promise. I told you that I'd be on your side to the bitter end. Did I miss anything? So we just found out that there was actually a third bullet found at the crime scene, which was lodged into one of Herlock Sholmes' pouches, which indicates that there was a third person there at the crime scene with a gun. So that's what we just discovered. So right now, the judge has ordered a subpoena for the mystery man, who happens to apparently work as a communications officer, which is big. So that's what's happening. And she also just told us the story that basically she broke in, grabbed the owner's gun, pointed at him, said, "Hey, show me the thing." Shows it to her. She sees that, you know, Herlock Sholmes did hide the manuscript at the Windibanks. Both of them hear someone breaking in. Mr. Windibanks goes ahead and asks for the gun back, which he does get back. Suddenly, 2 shots are rung out. He comes in, flaps on the floor. She closes the door, locks it, and grabs his gun for self-defense, but after seeing Windibank's dead corpse, she passes out with the gun in her hand. So, yeah. But we still don't know the full story of how this really all went down. But anyways. Continue. What if I'm lying? You could be working to get another killer off the hook for all you know. I was once in your position, Gina. I was the accused in a trial. Oh yeah, that's right. You were? Before I left Japan, I was accused of murder. Strange as it might sound, the circumstances of the crime were pretty damning. I was sure that no one would believe it wasn't me who done it. Oh, Runo. There was one person who stood up for me, who believed in me, and was prepared to defend me. My best friend. Ah, yes. Rinosuke, no one believes in you more than I do. Leave this to me. All you need to do is put your faith in me. I'll do the rest. I was so happy, I cried. But even then, somewhere inside me, I couldn't help thinking, surely he doesn't really believe in me. Not completely. But I was wrong. As soon as my trial began, it was obvious that he had an absolute, unwavering belief in me. And in turn, I developed an absolute, unwavering belief in him. Since then, I came to realize, if you want someone to believe in you, you have to believe in the other person first. What are you saying? I promise you, Gina, no matter what happens, I'll keep believing in you. Until proven guilty. So you don't need to worry, I won't let you down. Even though I'm a diver and a no-good liar, you're not like McGilded. I know that. Eh? Hey, I'm walking here. I'm walking here. Yeah, that's right. You're our friend, Ginny. Iris. We know you better than you think. We've come to the conclusion that you're someone we can trust. Yeah. It's really all we need to know. Exactly. Mr. Naruto, I... Oh, she's crying. Defendant Gina Lestrade and a legal representative. He's fucking British, breaking the moment. Court proceedings are about to resume. Please head to the courtroom immediately. Oh, yes, of course. Thank you. Here we go. I've been both a defendant and a defending lawyer in my time, so I knew only too well just how hard it was to put all your faith in another. And I also knew just how hard it was to bear the burden of another putting all their faith in you. This is it at last. The final chapter. The final battle. Wish me luck, Susato-san. And I hope you're watching over me too. Partner. Partner. That's so touching. We're gonna defend Gina to the death. Last stand. Alright, here we go. 1:41 p.m. The Old Bailey. And we're gonna find out who this so-called Benedict guy is.
I hereby call this court to order as we resume the trial of Miss Gina Lestrade. Lord Van Zix, have you successfully subpoenaed the witness?
The subpoena was delivered to the communication station where the man works immediately, my lord. However, the heavy rain was delayed the arrival of his carriage, it would seem.
I see. Then let us turn our attention to Inspector Gregson's persistence of the case heard by the court this morning. The glaring omission of the third bullet in your report is a serious blunder, Inspector. Yes, I can only apologize, my lord. And although the defense's chemical analysis of the blood at the scene makes for a compelling argument, I cannot permit such untried methods to be used as evidence in my courtroom.
It's a big mistake to cross Hurley and me. A very big mistake, hey. My lord, the subpoenaed witness has just arrived in the building.
Thank you, officer. Show him to the stand without delay.
Mr. Edgar Benedicts. I didn't expect to be crossing paths with him again so soon. Certainly not like this. He's still wearing that suit?
Thank you for complying with the court's subpoena at such short notice, sir.
Oh, but of course, my lord. As an upstanding member of London society, it is my pleasure to oblige. I can't speak today. Oblige.
Now, kindly state your name and occupation for the record.
Ashley Graydon, communications officer. Mr. Graydon and I both work at London's Central Communication Station. Now, perhaps somebody would kindly explain what this is all about. You are apprised of the situation by the court officer on your way here, I presume. Yes, I was. Something to do with a murder that took place at a pawnbroker's on Baker Street. And some nonsense about me having been there on the night in question. That is the accusation, indeed. This really is beyond a joke, you know.
Very well. Without further delay, the court will hear your testimony now, Mr. Graydon. You will respond to the accusation made against you under oath.
Razzle-dazzle. Gladly, my lord. Gladly. Why does it give off like a gay vibe? I feel like this man is gonna swoop me off my feet and take me to a bar. Naturally, I have occasion to make use of pawnbroking services from time to time. But are you seriously suggesting I colluded with these thugs to break into the place on the night of the murder? I have no intention of admitting to such an outrageous accusation. Oh dear, I've dropped my cup. Even if certain parties here present claim that my blood was found at the scene.
Some sacramoch detective's homebrew tincture can hardly be taken as serious evidence. Okay. We'll see about that. So you deny the accusation completely, do you? I must say I am dismayed. For the highest court in the land to be swayed by this self-professed detective's toy. It was the will of the jury, and our great British justice system demands that the jury's will is upheld. Then it would seem we have the misfortune of the most inept assembly of juries today.
What the hell did you just say? By golly!
How long am I expected to be detained here?
If following the defense's cross-examination, your involvement in this matter has not been established, you will be free to leave immediately.
Good. Then I shall be away in time for afternoon tea. Some small consolation at least. More of JoJo vibe, but that greatly overlaps with a gay vibe. Yeah. Pretty much.
Let us not hold up Mr. Graydon any longer than necessary, counsel. Proceed with the cross-examination.
So we meet again, Mr. Egbert Benedict? Or is it Mr. Graydon? My apologies, you are? Rinosuke Norohodo, defense lawyer. We have met. If you say so, Ashley Graydon. Echante. So. I trust we can conclude this quickly. I'm not holding your flashy hat while we do. Okay. The accusation. Naturally, avocation make use of Pongrus. Okay.
Hold it!
Yes, we even met in the very pawnbrokery where the crime took place in the afternoon of the day in question. Though, of course, you introduced yourself by a different name at the time. It was Mr. Egbert Benedict, I believe. Tell me, what made you...
Objection!
The witness is here to testify about events that took place that night. He is under no obligations to answer such unrelated questions. Can't be serious. Thank you, because I certainly do not feel inclined to answer such an inappropriate question. He's going to be evasive, is he? In an effort not to give anything away. This could be tricky. Little guy is like looking. Hold up. Can I? Oh, I can't look at. This little pudgy fella just like, wow, look at him. That's magnificent blonde hair. You wish I had hair. Are you seriously suggesting? Okay. Have you seen those two men before? This pair? No, I don't associate with criminals. Said by a man who introduced himself as Egbert Benedict. I'd like to know who I have to thank for this. Who made this outlandish accusation against me? The young lawyer there in the back. Oh, black. This is a farce. Razzle dazzle. Whose idea was it to prevent an outsider to work in a British court anyway? Well, needless to say. He is blushing. He's like, wow, he's so handsome. I wish he would treat me off my box and take me to a nice beach with some cocktails and tea. And his brother's like, what the fuck's the matter with your brother? Stop looking at him like that. I have no intention of admitting to such outrageous accusations, okay? Where were you at around 1 in the morning on the night in question, sir? That is past the hours at which I would normally retire. Certainly. I was not in the company of those rapscallions. I like to imagine that both of them are blushing, and they just look away every time that he looks at them. Be like, is he looking at his brother? I think so. Alright, let's try that cool. You're able to prove that?
Objection!
Listen carefully, my learned Nipponese friend. Okay, can you stop with the Nipponese? Kind of sounds weird and very racist. I know you're British and all, but come on.
Well, you appear to be under a gross misapprehension on this point. And what do you mean? The witness maintains he was not at the scene of the crime. He has no obligations to prove his absence. If your accusation is that the witness was present at the scene, the obligation lies with you to prove your assertion. You will fulfill the obligation before putting any more unreasonable questions to the witness. Razzle dazzle. Oops. A silent victory wiggle? Thanks. Even if certain parties here present claim.
Hold it!
Blood was found at the scene of the crime, there's no question of that. Mr. Sholmes' chemical analysis has positively identified the substance as such, Your Honor. I'm sorry, I am fucking having a stroke. But I am not the only human to have blood running through my veins, am I? How could you be so sure that the blood is mine? It could equally be the blood of one of these two miscreants. Every individual's blood has a slightly different composition, it seems. Mr. Sholmes' chemical is able to differentiate different... Spare me the science lesson. I'm bored, yawn. But who is this Sholmes character, anyway? Oh, I assumed all Londoners would know the name. He's a great, well, renowned detective, I would say. So even you are unable to bring yourself to say great detective. A great detective, you say? Now we're in the realm of fairy tales, are we? Oh, shit, okay.
Excuse me.
Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Skulkin? Eh? What? Me? No, the taller one. Right, I've had it up to here with this. How many times have I got to tell you? Yes, I know, you're not Big Rough Sulky, or whatever the fuck your name is. Mr. Nash Skulkin. Eh? God blimey, Governor. You what? Is it not the case that when Mr. Graydon just spoke, a thought went through your mind? Would you care to share that thought with the court? Me thoughts? I don't have none of them. It must have been him. You what? Mr. Nash Skulkin, answer the question, please. What went through your mind when Mr. Graydon just spoke? Nothing, honest Gov, nothing. I was just thinking of pasta. Yeah, I was thinking about pasta. If he waves his arm around like that much more, I think about noodles. Open up the wound again. That's... I mean... What wound? No, wounds of cooking pasta. He makes the terror pasta. Well, no, I mean, Wade took the bullet, of course. It was only 2 days ago. He ain't gonna be healed up yet. So I was, well, you know, I was worried for him and his cooking skills and... Ah, fuck. Oh, elbow. Oh, balls. Mr. Graydon, did you just hear that? What? Your comrade is worried about you, it seems. On account of your injured arm. My lord. Yes, Mr. Graydon? I have no idea what these two wretches are talking about. And do not pay mind to why I'm holding my left arm. Certainly I shouldn't be expected to answer anything in relation to their mindless insinuations. We know that someone other than the victim was hit by a bullet at the scene of the crime 2 nights ago. And from the height of the bullet hole in the wall, that person was likely hit in the upper arm or thereabout. Perhaps you'd allow a court official to examine your arm, sir. The left arm that you're currently clasping with your right hand as if in pain. No, I refuse. You have shown no evidence whatsoever that links me to those criminals, these thieves. Accordingly, I am not obliged to permit any such invasion of my privacy. But, Your Honor, we're looking for a man who's wounded. As I've already said, I'm completely uninvolved in all this. I've never had anything to do with the pawnbrokery where this fellow was killed whatsoever. I take offense at the insinuation that I was in any way involved. You claim to have nothing whatsoever to do with Mr. Winterberg's pawnbrokery. My lord, the defense would like that last statement to be added to Mr. Graydon's formal testimony.
Very well, Counsel. Continue with your testimony, Mr. Graydon.
Hold it!
Okay. Never had anything to do with it. You forget that I was there, Mr. Graydon, on the very afternoon of the incident. Obviously, I am not a complete stranger to the pawnbrokers. I'm currently on the lookout for an armchair to finish my study.
Objection!
No, you were there to redeem an article. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Excuse me!
Oh boy, you keep fucking up, huh? You have something to add, Inspector?
Yeah? Come again, Sunshine?
You were there too, in fact, weren't you, Inspector? That afternoon.
Well, yeah, I do remember meeting yourself and the pawnbrokers that night, or afternoon. You, your young Japanese assistant, and the accused were all present, as I recall.
And at that time, this witness, Mr. Graydon, was trying to acquire a particular article.
Well, now... I'm afraid I don't remember too clearly.
What? But you must.
I'm not going to lie and pretend I remember something I don't.
What's going on here? Rexy showed us a picture before, didn't he? You know, from the cameras that Hurley installed in Windibanks. Yeah, of course.
Indeed, and the gentleman pictured bears a striking resemblance to the witness, I must say.
Exactly, which proves that Mr. Graydon was in the shop on the afternoon in question. At no point have I denied that fact. I merely entered the shop to peruse the articles on sale and have a word with that broker. Nothing more. This makes no sense. I understand why Mr. Graydon might be trying to cover his tracks. But why would Gregson be trying to avoid giving testimony about what happened? That's all he's going to say on the matter, is it? What do you think, Runo? He has no intention of telling us anything. He's well aware that the less he says, the less chance he has of giving himself away. The complete opposite of Hurley, then. Seems to think that the more he says, the better. At least I managed to prise a little more information from these witnesses' lips. All thanks to the Skulkin brothers. Yes, they were the key to it after all. So he says he had nothing to do with the Windibanks. Well, we know that's not true. Perhaps now would be a good time to have a proper look through the court records. Good idea. You never know what tiny scrap of information would become a valuable weapon. Alright, so... what do we have for evidence? Yeah, you were. You were here for this.
Objection!
Yeah, you were here for that. Have you ever seen this disc before, Mr. Graydon? Why? Is it supposed to mean something? This disc was until the day of his murder in pawn in Mr. Windibank's shop. It was redeemed by the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, that afternoon, however. Somebody mysteriously appeared to try to take it from her. And that somebody was you, of course, wasn't it, Mr. Graydon? As I've reiterated numerous times now, you are mistaken. That was not me. I've never seen that disc before in my life. May have escaped your notice, but there is a small smear of blood on the disc.
Oh yes, resulting from an abrasion of the thumb, perhaps.
That's right. The surface of the disc is covered in hundreds of tiny metal bumps. In the skirmish to acquire the disc, the thumb of the person who tried to take it suffered minor lacerations. So, while the disc bears the remnants of that skirmish in the form of this smear of blood, the thumb of the person in question must bear the remnants also in the form of a scratch.
Gracious, indeed it must.
Mr. Graydon, you refused to allow a court officer to examine your arm before. Are you now going to refuse to allow us to examine your thumb? Because I have no doubt that it bears a small scratch consistent with the smear of blood on this disc. Well, it would seem I underestimated you.
What? What is the meaning of this?
So you admit it now. You admit you have a scratch on your thumb from when you attempted to take the disc from the defendant.
Order! Order! Well, Mr. Graydon?
It would appear there has been something of a misunderstanding here. I did not attempt to take the disc, as you put it. No, quite the reverse. What are you trying to say? Razzle-dazzle, it's really quite simple, you see. The disc was mine from the outset. Is there some crime in taking an item that you own out of pawn? What? It would seem, Mr. Graydon, that in this piece of evidence, my learned friend has established a link between yourself and the incident. Accordingly, you will tell the court everything you know about this disc now. Oh, please, man. Okay. As you wish. Though I'm quite sure it has nothing whatsoever to do with the pawnbroker's murder. Okay. There's a note on the disc saying for McGilded, but the item belongs to me. The redemption ticket was stolen from me by the accused, that filthy gutterling, on the day in question. I proceeded at once to the shop in order to explain my situation and redeem my article. In the end, of course, the disc was taken by the police. In other words, I had absolutely no reason to break into the shop later that same night.
Did I hear you correctly, sir? McGilded, you say? The famous London philanthropist? The guy who fucking died in my court? Who perished in this very courtroom 2 months ago after being acquitted of a distinctly messy murder?
Yes, my lord. The one and the same.
Good lord! Mr. Graydon! Are you saying that Mr. McGooden and yourself were acquainted?
Yes, that's correct.
Order! Well, I certainly didn't expect to hear that name uttered here in my courtroom again.
According to what Gina told us, this disc was placed in pawn on that fateful night 2 months ago. Gilded himself gave instructions to deposit it at Windibanks. It's funny that Mr. Graydon here is claiming the disc belongs to him then, isn't it? In all likelihood, he's lying. We appeared that afternoon at Windibanks in order to get his hands on McGilded's disc for some reason.
Counsel, you will commence your cross-examination, please.
Alright, now we just gotta prove that it's not his. Or he wasn't given by... We'll just push for now.
Hold it!
Would you care to explain how this belongs to you? As you will observe, a communications officer such as myself commands a fine salary.
You are certainly exquisitely dressed, sir.
So you see, I have a little need to make use of the services provided by the pawn broker's trade. However, I did once find myself in difficulties having misplaced my purse whilst on an errand, which is why I pawned my fine black overcoat to the broker in question. You claim that was your overcoat? Obviously, and in my haste I clean forget that the music box disc was in its pocket. And yet there is a note on it that reads for McGilded. I am a collector of rare and unusual music box music. I first met Mr. McGilded at a gentleman's club in the city and was interested to discover that he shared my penchant in that area.
So the disc in question...
It's a pre-production sample. I promised to let Mr. McGilded hear it. But then you forgot that it was in the pocket of the overcoat you forced upon.
Yes, exactly. Gina didn't mention any of that in her testimony 2 months ago, did she? No, because McGilded had threatened her to keep her mouth shut. Which means that if we dig too deeply here, it's going to expose Gina's perjury. Oh dear, this is complicated, isn't it? Let's leave it alone for the time being.
Hold it!
So you're saying that Miss Lestrade lifted the ticket from your pocket or bag? That's right. Despite being mindful of danger when walking the insalubrious areas her kind frequent.
Objection!
Miss Lestrade did no such thing. Well, of course you would take that stance, but the girl is a regular offender. You came to the pawnbrokery that day prepared with all the information you needed to identify the defendant. You were looking for her. That's what brought you to Windibanks. To get your hands on Mr. McGilded's disc.
Objection!
My learned friend is a veritable font of nonsense.
Nonsense?
I concur with the prosecution. Counsel, you will refrain from conjecturing in this way. Is that clear?
Yes, my lord. Then I will continue with my testimony, for what possible use it can be.
Hold it!
Had you ever been to Windibanks before? Only once, for the purposes of pawning something, but like many, I enjoy browsing in such establishments.
So when you noticed that the pickpocket had taken your ticket, you chased after her. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. I didn't notice at first, of course, such as the art of the pick purse. But when I did, I headed to the pawnbrokery at once, in order to reclaim my coat before the thief could. I was merely trying to recover what was rightfully mine in the first place. Ugh. He can say what he likes because he knows we have no evidence to contradict him on this.
Hold it!
Yes, it was taken by Inspector Gregson here, wasn't it? That's right. This was the very man. Apparently, the police are collecting anything that has a connection to Mr. McGilded as evidence.
Excuse me!
Is something wrong, Inspector?
What do you mean?
The last remark Mr. Graydon made in his testimony seemed to trouble you in some way.
No, it didn't. It's nothing. Leave it alone.
Let me ask you this, Inspector. Why is Scotland Yard gathering Mr. McGilded's possessions?
I can't tell you something like that, Sunshine.
What is it, Inspector? Investigative secrets?
Yeah, exactly. You should know all about that.
Magnus McGilded, who died so unexpectedly after his trial 2 months ago. A man renowned throughout the capital for his great contributions to public life, yet he had a dark side too.
Where are you going with this, Van Zieks?
I suppose the police are dealing with the aftermath of his nefarious activities, are they?
That's enough. Coppers like me have duties to carry out that we're not at liberty to talk about. It's all you need to know.
Duties conferred my Lord Strongheart, I presume. The Lord Chief Justice appears to have great faith in you, Inspector.
The bottom line is, if you want to get more out of me, you're gonna need Lord Strongheart's paw print first.
What's all this about? It's like there's something going on between Gregson and Lord Van Zieks here.
Well, it would appear that the inspector has revealed all he is at liberty to reveal. Miss Graydon, let's return to your testimony.
Gladly, my lord.
Hold it!
But perhaps you'd seen something of value among the forfeited items.
No, not at all.
Oh.
A valuer was brought in by the police to assess everything in the shop. Without exception, every article on the shelves was common or garden bric-a-brac.
The fuck's a bric-a-brac? In that case, it's clear. that you broke into the shop later that day in order to recover Mr. McGilded's disc. Have you not been listening, man? Even if I had wanted to recover the disc, you may recall that it had been seized by the police that afternoon. It was no more in the shop that night than I, as I keep saying. I simply had no reason to break in. So there was nothing of McGilded's left in the shop that night, nothing this man might have been after. I wonder if that's really true. Bruno, if you have some evidence, then let him have it. I'm dying to see that irritatingly assured expression of his crumble. Gilded slipped the disc into his coat pocket and had it deposited at Windibanks. And when he realized he was going to be arrested on suspicion of the omnibus murder, threatened Gina and forced her to take the redemption ticket. There's no doubt about it. That witness is lying through his pearly white teeth. The police were obviously after anything left behind by McGilded as well. That's why Inspector Gregson ended up taking the disc into custody that day. But Gregsy being very strange about all this. Must be a reason for that, I'm sure. I just don't know what it is. And now I need to focus on exposing the fact that Mr. Graydon is lying in his testimony. The only thing I have is this. Swinbank appears to have used the back of this photograph to write out the redemption ticket. He's written it with very neatly, but still, perhaps he ran out of paper so had to use anything he had to hand. I'm trying to know what's the front and what's the reverse side now. The only thing I have is this.
Objection!
Nope, that was wrong. Damn it! In other words, I had absolutely no reason to break into the shop later that same night. Owned by the victim.
Objection!
No. Ah, Jesus. No reason to break into the shop. Yes, okay, so that's true. There's no reason for him to break into the shop. Uh. I mean, the only other valuable thing is the manuscript, but that's wait a minute, hold on. Wait, are these different? Wait, 30 p.m. Oh, no, that's not what, I meant to present that. This?
Objection!
Oh.
This disc was deposited at Windibanks on Magnus McGilded's instructions. You knew that, and you went there with the intention of obtaining it for yourself. Conjecture again, and in any case, the disc was taken into custody by the police that afternoon. The witness had no reason to visit the pawnbroker again that night. Sorry, my learned friend, but that's not true. Oh shit! What? Mr. McGilded had another article in pawn at Windibanks. Oh yeah, that's right, he had two. Never mind. As the second pawnbroker's ticket proves. There were two articles belonging to Mr. McGilded in Windibanks pawnbrokery, and the reason you broke into the shop that night was to recover the second one. Together with your two accomplices, the Skulkin brothers.
This is the second ticket, is it?
What had the man deposited? The article description reads, one small box.
Rather vague description, it seems to me.
Are you suggesting that I broke into pawnbrokery with these clowns in order to steal some trinket box? I believe there are adequate grounds to suspect that you did. This is absurd. Why on earth would I do such a thing? Once the article had been forfeited, I could simply walk into the shop and purchase it. There would be absolutely no need for me to resort to theft. That's a good point.
Indeed. The witness makes a solid argument.
So that means that for some reason, this Graydon fellow needed the small box that very night, does it?
Objection!
It's time to put an end to this nonsense, my lord.
Would you be a little less cryptic, Lord Van Zeeks?
I do hate to ruin my learned friend's argument, but the truth is quite incontrovertible. On the night in question, no small box was taken from Windibank's pawnbrokery. And rest assured, the prosecution can prove it.
Oh?
What?
Good gracious.
Inspector, show the photographic prints to the court, if you please.
Yes, sir.
What prints?
These prints were taken from one of the detective's security cameras.
Hurley's red-handed recorders again.
As previously explained using this plan of the shop layout, the victim's establishment was furnished with automatic cameras in 2 locations. One was set to capture the counter where Mr. Windibank received his customers, and the other was set to capture the shelves on which articles were placed for sale once forfeited.
According to the information on this ticket, a gilded small box had been forfeited already. 2 days before the incident at 9 p.m. on April 13th to be precise. Means it would have been on the shelves of the forfeited items in the shop front. Now what I have here is a print taken by one of the cameras about 2 hours before the incident. That's at 11 p.m. on April 15th. The victim certainly had a very full shop, it would appear. And then here we have another print. This one was taken about 2 hours after the incident. Or after the incident. I see, so we have 2 pictures to compare.
Okay, yeah, there's a discrepancy. The fucking box is moved. This right here, that's the box.
Well, I must say that placing them side by side leaves me cold.
Judge, I literally could spot it within a few seconds.
Dear me, that's starting to make my head ache. Obviously, at Scotland Yard, we consider theft as one possible motive in this case. We explored the possibility that something had been taken in addition to the victim's life. So your men have already compared these 2 prints thoroughly, Inspector? Yes, sir. We counted every single item in each of these 2 photographic prints.
Well, obviously you fucking didn't. It's obviously been moved.
And the Yard's conclusion is that exactly the same number are present in both.
In other words, nothing was taken from the pawnbroker on the night in question. And my learned friend's assertion is nothing more than a hopeful fantasy.
My pride.
I don't believe it. I could have just shown that he'd stolen McGilded's pawned box. Razzle dazzle. I might have been able... okay. I might have been able to break him down at last. You know what, Bruno? I've been thinking. I wonder if these 2 photographs really are exactly the same. No, they're not. What?
So, counsel, in the light of the evidence put forward by the prosecution, what is your position? It seems that in fact on the night in question, nothing was stolen from the victim's establishment. Do you accept the prosecution's assertion?
I don't know. Could there be some hidden discrepancy? Yeah. Indeed. I wasn't sure at first, but there is a clear discrepancy between the 2 prints. What?
You must identify the location in question for the court, counsel. Indicate the precise location of the discrepancy of which you speak.
Take that!
Granted, these 2 prints are almost identical. However, there is one minor discrepancy between them.
What?
When you view the 2 pictures stereoscopically, a single area stands out as being different. The location of this small box. Let me... wait. Unbelievable. So fucking funny.
By Jove, you're right.
Okay, Judge.
How extraordinary.
What this tells us is very simple. Mr. McGilded's small box was indeed not stolen from Windibanks on the night in question. However, there can be no doubt. that somebody picked up this particular box and then returned it to its place on the shelves.
Are you suggesting that this small box originally deposited by Mr. McGilded is in fact...
Yes, the very same small box I just identified in those photographic prints.
Objection!
Mindless guesswork. What if it was? So a box was moved on the shelf. Nothing was stolen. Which means, quite simply, that nothing has changed. That may be true, but... Alright, McGilded's box wasn't stolen then. Doesn't the fact that it was moved like that change things? Yes, it changes... Yeah, it changes everything. I believe this changes everything about the case. How can that possibly be? The crucial point is the fact that what was moved was a small box. In other words, we have to consider what might have been inside that box. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that we need to examine that box as soon as possible. A vital piece of evidence is sitting on the shelves at Windibanks as we speak.
Objection!
That won't be necessary. Some little box belonging to a man who died 2 months ago can't possibly be relevant to this case.
The court does not uphold your objection, Lord Van Zieks. Bailiff, arrange for an officer to go to Baker Street at once.
Ah, fuck.
Obtain the small box in question and bring it back here for further examination.
Alright. Alright.
We should have a report within half an hour. I think perhaps we should recess for a short while until the evidence is brought forth.
To be hoodwinked by such a farce. Disappointing.
I beg your pardon, Lord Van Zieks.
This is nothing but a smokescreen. A Nipponese specialty, it would seem. What are you trying to say? My learned friend has persisted with the same line of reasoning from the very beginning. That this witness's intent was to steal an article belonging to Mr. McGilded from the pawnbrokery. Yet common sense tells us that none of the articles have value enough to be worth stealing in the first place. Exactly. It would be beyond absurd to break into a place for the purpose of stealing such commonplace property. If your lordship recalls, Mr. McGilded perished 2 months ago immediately after the conclusion of his trial. A trial in which he was found not guilty. A trial in which it was established he was the upstanding member of society, his reputation implied, in fact. So I propose a toast to my learned friend and his most insightful defense. The articles this upstanding member of society pawned were entirely ordinary. A black overcoat that just happened to have a music box disc in one of its pockets, and a small box. I assure you I wouldn't accept even if the man tried to make a gift of such things to me. We'll see about that after we see the box. No, that does make rather a lot of sense. It's not as if it was gold or jewels, is it? Oh, goodness knows, Mr. McGilded was rich enough. Can't deposit cash at a pawnbrokery, I'm quite sure of it.
The prosecution's argument is undeniably compelling.
It is incumbent on the defense now to bolster its argument. To explain what possible significance these commonplace articles pawned by this fine citizen could have.
Well, counsel, is your argument in fact demonstratable? Are you able to prove that the disc or the box are in tangible way related to this case?
Well, what's the matter, Runo? We know that they're related, don't we? They're both vital pieces of evidence. Yeah, of course. You and I both know that. We know McGilded's true character, we know the disc is significant, even if we don't know why. But if we explain all that to the court at this point, we'll have to acknowledge that McGilded's acquittal 2 months ago was a mistake. That the defense's argument was flawed, based on false information. Oh no! And that would mean admitting that Gina committed perjury. But Ginny, Maybe that Van Zieks knows? Is that why he's doing this now? Because he anticipated everything? But maybe... this could be a great opportunity for us. Sorry, what do you mean? Well, what is it that you always say, Runo? Sooner or later, the truth comes out. Every time. Alright, the exact significance of the things that Megilda deposited with Mr. Windibank is something that only Gina can explain to the court. If I put her on the stand to testify about that, it could critically damage her chances of winning this case. Yeah, it could be self-incriminating. We fuck up with her. What's the right thing to do here? We have to testify. No, we have to have her testify. My lord, the defense would like to make a proposal.
Oh, what proposal, counsel?
While the court awaits the arrival of Mr. Megilda's small box, I would like to call the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, to the witness stand.
The defendant? For what end?
It's to do with the various articles deposited at Windibanks by Mr. Megilda, my lord. Miss Lestrade has information relating to them. I believe it would be beneficial for the court to hear what she has to say. It will prove the significance of the article in question once and for all. Well, things are becoming interesting. I presume you've considered the implication of the testimony you're proposing. In particular, the impact it will have on the accused standing, and indeed your own.
I have. Lord Van Zieks, would you care to explain that last remark?
The prosecution accepts the defense's proposal. I move to interrupt the cross-examination of the current witness and hear from the accused and herself.
Very well, if you have no objection. So the court will now hear the testimony of the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. You witnesses currently in the stand may step down until further notice.
Then I shall bid you good day. Wait. You, sir, shall remain in the stand while Miss Lestrade testifies. As you wish. Alright then, Gina. It's time. I know this will be hard, but please put your faith in me here. Good luck, Runo. The articles that Mr. Megilda had deposited in Windibank's pawnbrokery are intimately related with the omnibus case, the trial of which was heard in this courtroom 2 months ago.
Yes, and I remember this young lady being brought before me in that trial as well.
That's right, my lord. Her testimony helped to establish the innocence of the defendant, Mr. Megilda. The omnibus case was intriguing, to say the least. And now here we all are again, the same players in that trial, facing each other once more. A twist of fate, perhaps, my Nipponese friend. Allow me to recap the events of 2 months ago. An old brickmaker was stabbed to death in an omnibus running along London's winter streets. Apart from the victim, there was only one other person in the carriage, Mr. Megilda. Naturally, he was the prime suspect for the murder. But as the trial progressed, another possibility emerged. That the murder in fact took place above the defendant's head on the roof deck, with the body then being dropped through the skylight into the carriage below. It was Miss Lestrade whose testimony brought that possibility to light. At the time of the incident, Miss Lestrade was concealed under a seat in the carriage, hoping to pick the pockets of unsuspecting passengers. Then, immediately after the trial, having been acquitted of the murder, Mr. Megilda died in this very courtroom in the most extraordinary of circumstances. A mystery that remains unsolved even now, 2 months on. As indeed does the omnibus murder itself.
Be that as it may, I recall neither the disc nor this small box being mentioned in the course of those proceedings.
Miss Lestrade, would you tell the court now, please,
What really happened in the omnibus 2 months ago, I mean? I don't know what you mean. I already said all of what I know. And what about everything you told us yesterday from inside your prison cell? Please, Miss Lestrade, this is extremely important. But remember, little girl, if it transpires that you willfully withheld information in the trial 2 months ago, the Home Office will seek to prosecute you for perjury. And naturally, you will lose all credibility as a witness. Although, let's face facts, you have little credibility to lose. Jenny, don't listen to him. Please, you have to trust Runo now. Iris? We're on your side. Alright then. I'll talk. It's the right choice, Gina. Well, it would seem that my learned friend is hell-bent on bringing the entire courtroom down about his ears. So be it.
I must confess that I'm struggling to understand what on earth is happening here. However, it would appear that Mr. McGooded's pawned articles in that extraordinary case of the omnibus harbor secrets of which we have been hitherto unaware. So, Miss Lestrade, you will now give your testimony before the court about the events of 2 months ago. You will reveal the truth, a commodity sorely lacking in your original statements.
This is it then. Everything's going to come out. Like Van Seek said, this could bring the whole courtroom down out about my ears, but as a lawyer, I'm prepared to take that risk. Alright, here we go, the big reveal. Truth is, that brickmaker Cole was in the cabin of the omnibus the entire time. When the Irishman dragged me out from under the seat, I saw that disc on the floor. All of a sudden, I heard a scream from over me head, and that pair on the roof went off to call the slaps. That's when Mr. McGilded slipped the driver some tin to do a run to the pawn shop roundabout. He threatens me not to snitch, not to say nothing to no one about what I'd heard or seen.
Good grief, this is outrageous. What you've just told the court bears almost no resemblance to your testimony 2 months ago.
As you say, my lord.
Then there's every chance I may have adjudicated an error in McGilded's trial. It sounds very much to me as if the man deliberately deceived this court, in an effort to cover up the most wicked of schemes.
Without doubt, your lordship is correct. A great injustice was done in this courtroom 2 months ago. The actions of the accused in that trial of this witness and my learned friend are entirely inexcusable. I don't believe it. The whole trial was a farce. It was all lies. That McGilded fellow was rotten to the core, just like that pickpocket. Don't forget that lawyer from the east. They were all in on it. You're wrong. The lotto, yeah. Mr. Naruto, the lawyer there, he didn't know nothing about it.
Humbug.
I don't think so. Are we really expected to believe that?
He really stitched everyone up, didn't he? What an operation to get the man off scot-free.
Unforgivable. Stop. The lights have to stop. Stop. Yes, the defense made a terrible error of judgment. I intend to take full responsibility and suffer whatever consequence are deemed appropriate. However, it's imperative that the court allows the witness to elaborate on her testimony, because the true significance of Mr. McGilded's pawned articles must be brought to light. Very well, my learned student's friend. Given the depths of calamity you have just plunged yourself into, this may well be worth hearing.
Words fail me. This situation is utterly deplorable. Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes, my lord.
I will decide upon your fate following the conclusion of this trial.
Of course, my lord. Blimey, Mr. Naruto.
Now, counsel, proceed with the cross-examination.
Oh, we're fucked. Alright, here we go.
Hold it!
And you were hiding in the cabin at the time as well, weren't you, Miss Lestrade? If I remember right, in the storage compartment underneath one of the seats.
Yeah, that's right. It's pitch black under there, so you can't see nothing at all.
Now, in your testimony 2 months ago, I feel certain that you claimed Mr. McGilda was the sole passenger, did you not?
False testimony, my lord. That's what he told me I had to say. But it's important that you tell us the truth now. Were Mr. McGilda and the victim acquaintances? I don't know. But I did hear him talking a lot. What were they talking about? Well, I couldn't hear too well. But if I had to say, I think it was about money or something. They kept talking about buying and not buying.
Perhaps the business dealings of some kind.
Well, anyway, they got louder and louder. It started to sound like a proper fight. I was pretty scared by then. I hardly dared to breathe, and then, all of a sudden, I heard a noise like something keeling over on the floor. It was blooming loud and all.
I believe you let out an involuntarily scream.
Yeah, that's what gave me away.
Hold it!
Was the disc you saw this disc? Yeah, I reckon it probably was. It was right next to the cove lying on the floor.
Could this disc have belonged to the victim, perhaps?
I don't know, but McGilda picked it up pretty smartish. And then he sat the cove with the knife in his belly up on the seat. What did he say to you at that time? He told me not to say a word about what I'd seen or heard to no one. About the disc and all. I was dead scared. The way he was looking at me, I thought, if I didn't go along with it, I'd get stuck with that knife too. Then he started asking me a load of questions. Like what my name was and where I lived and that. He asked me about being a diver too.
But after a while, what had happened in the carriage was noticed.
Yeah, that's right. First there was a kind of rapping noise.
Hold it!
There were 2 gentlemen occupying the seat on the roof deck, I believe. That's right. They must have looked down through the skylight and noticed the cove with the knife in its guts. When they screamed, the driver pulled up the horses and McGilda got me out of sight.
Out of sight? Where?
Back under the seat where I started off. Once the carriage came to an halt, 2 coves from the roof ran off to fetch the slops.
If they immediately left to fetch the police, it would appear they were entirely unrelated to the incident.
So that left McGilda, the driver, and you still at the scene. Yeah, only the driver didn't know I was there because I was under the seat. I heard the cabin door open and a voice from outside.
The driver? Yes. He also testified in the trial, I believe.
Yeah, he was also in on it.
A fellow who went by the name of Beppo, if memory serves.
He was a fucking sleazebag. He was easily fucking bought off. What did McGilda and the driver say to each other? I don't know what happened and stuff like that mainly.
Hold it!
That pawn shop obviously being Windibanks on Baker Street.
Just a moment, counsel. Do you mean to tell me that the driver gave false testimony in that trial as well?
Perhaps the excursion to the pawnbrokery slipped his mind when he was in the stand.
Indeed, Lord Van Zeeks.
McGilda took off his coat and gave it to the driver. He folded it up all careful like before handing it over. When I saw him do that, I remember thinking, that coat what's in it has gotta be worth a few bob. Yes, bob. Gina was sure the disc must be worth more than bobs. Mr. Windibank was suggesting, wasn't he? Wasn't she? I remember her quibbing with him over the price that afternoon at the pawnbrokery. The driver looked pretty happy when McGilda flashed some brass in his face. He went running off at a lick. Then the bog trotter called to me and told me to come out from the drag's cabin.
Hold it!
Threatened you how exactly? Told me I'd only be able to scarp her if I did exactly what he said.
Which included giving false testimony in court 2 months ago.
Yeah, that's it. And there was one other thing you said.
Which was?
He told me I'd have to hang on to the ticket from the pawn shop and make sure not to lose it.
The ticket? Why, never.
Said that if he didn't show up to get the ticket off me before 2 months passed, I had to go to the pawn shop and pay the money to keep it in lug, to stop it being forfeited. He left me with some brass to pay for it.
But really? Why on earth would Mr. McGilda have done such a thing? Depositing his overcoat with a pawnbroker before the arrival of the police? It makes no sense at all.
There would seem to be only one logical explanation, my lord. What McGilded had the driver deposit at Windibanks was something he didn't want the police to see. Something very important that he needed to hide at all cost. Anyway, after that, he let me go, so I liked it before the coppers showed up. Well done, Gina. Can't have been easy to tell the truth like that. Ginny's really put her faith in you, Reno. Yeah, to thank her, she'll have to face a charge of perjury once this trial's over. I need to use the time we have now to get as much information out of her as possible. Hold on. I suppose I should. Oh, and another thing. Oh, another thing. What's that? Take a look at those two. Isn't it strange that they've been whispering to each other the entire time? Yeah, that is strange. Looks like they were having a secret discussion about something. I'm not sure I'm completely comfortable with that. I wonder if there's anything I can do about it. Wait a minute. Are they... Yeah, they're talking to each other. Hold on.
Hold it! Excuse me.
Is there something you'd like to share with the court, Inspector Gregson and Mr. Graydon? Inspector, Mr. Graydon.
Wah! Hey, blimey, you trying to give me a heart attack?
You've been whispering to each other for quite some time now. Tell us, what is the discussion about?
Discussion? With this fella? Pull the other one, Sunshine. You think I've got anything to talk about with a shitty gent like this?
And I have nothing to say to this uncouth detective after he deprived me of that disc that was rightfully mine. They've clearly been talking the entire time I've been cross-examining Gina. It's as if they've been negotiating.
Thank you, Miss Lestrade. Thank you, Counsel. I've heard enough. I believe we are now have a reasonable understanding of what actually transpired on the omnibus.
It would appear on that night 2 months ago, a negotiation was taking place on the omnibus. Negotiation concerning this disc. However, matters did not run smoothly. When the parties involved began to quarrel over price, McGilda took what he wanted by force, at the expense of the other man's life. Which proves my point. The disc is clearly extremely valuable in some way, though I don't understand why as yet. And 2 days ago, precisely 2 months after the omnibus incident, McGilda's coat and its contents were due to be forfeited. I didn't know what I should do with the ticket. I mean, Hove died right after his trial. I knew that. So you decided you would try to claim the article as your own. Well, why not, eh? They're only going to be forfeited. Why shouldn't I have got them? Anyway, you can't blame me for thinking about it. Thinking ain't no crime.
Miss Lestrade, it would appear Mr. McGilda was prepared to kill in order to take possession of this disc. You know why that would be?
Eh? I ain't got a clue. But I reckon it must be worth a fair bit of brass. He was probably gonna sell it. And you can't blame me for thinking that. Thinking ain't no crime.
My lord.
The evidence your lordship requests has been located and is ready for the court's inspection, sir.
Oh shit! It's happening!
Mysterious little box deposited by McGilda 2 months ago. There's no doubt in my mind that is a key piece in this far-reaching puzzle. Alright.
Alright guys, that has been a long fucking session, but next stream we are going to figure out what that box was containing and what exactly McGilda had in it, alright? With the significance to this case. So, we're gonna just save right here and I'm gonna end it. I might stream later today, I don't know. If not, I will more likely do it tomorrow when we're doing our MP game. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys later. When's the next stream? Well, I have one tomorrow on Friday, and then I'll probably take a break on Saturday to prepare for the community cup that we're going to be participating on Sunday, which it will be, for me, I will be streaming around 12:30 p.m. That's when we're going to be streaming for our match. Not sure how it's going to turn out, but we're going to do our damnness. But anyways, I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.